How's it going? Today we're going to talk about if you should go after SDR roles or AE roles or both, or maybe something else. Most people that are pursuing a career in tech sales are asking themselves this question as they attempt to break in for the first time. It really depends. Most people I work with are a good fit for either or. You can go either way. What it depends on, though, is your level of preparation. It depends on the amount of income you need to make. It depends on whether or not you are geographically limited in where you must live. It depends on really like your strategic career plan and what you're looking to do in this tech sales career. Okay, so there's a lot of dependencies and there's no right answer or boxed answer for everyone. Everyone's situation's different. Okay, so to start, one of the first things I like to assess is what kind of money do you need to make and when do you need a job by? Because these are kind of just like hard facts, lines in the sand, like we must do better than this or we must get a job by this time. And those tend to give us a really good idea of where we should spend our time pretty quickly. So SDR jobs, BDR jobs for someone who's just breaking in, you can typically expect a base pay around 60K, give or take, maybe 10 or a grand or so. So they could go down to 50, they could go up to 70, but base around 60K with an on-target earnings, meaning you hit your quota, hit your number that year, you can make as much as 100, 110, maybe 120K. But rule of thumb, around 100K is what you can make year one in average everyday SDR BDR role. Okay. In your average AE role, you can make more, but it also depends on the territory. It depends on what kind of product you're selling or service. It really depends on your ability to go out and execute and sell in year one and be successful. Your base is more than likely going to be higher than if you were an SDR, but now you're responsible for closing business, and that's typically harder than hitting your number as an SDR. So as an SDR or a BDR, you get measured on how many meetings you book. That's the most common measurement, and you might be told you have to book 10 meetings a month. That's your quota. If you hit that number, then you get paid 100% of your quota for that month. You exceed it, there might be some incentives to exceed, but then if you don't hit it, you won't get paid your full amount, your full commission that month. So it's easier to book meetings than it is to close deals. Now, as an account executive, your base for year one could be significantly higher. I'd say on average, on the low end, you can expect a 70, maybe 80K base. But on the high end, we've had students and members get all the way up to 150, 155K base in year one. And so it really depends on how well prepared you are and the research and the insights you're able to gather about the role so that you can present yourself well to employers. It's one of the biggest differentiators of people that go off and get great jobs or people that go off and get decent jobs. So going the AE route, though, means you're skipping this SDR BDR role, which is okay, but there's some things you should know. First, as an account executive, you should definitely know how to build pipeline, right? I don't care how senior you are. It's a skill that's foundational to being account executive and someone who's just a professional salesperson. You should be able to go jump into a territory or jump into a number of accounts and be able to take people that have never heard of you or never heard your name or your business and turn them into loyal customers. That's called business development, taking something from 0 to 1. So the prospecting and the business development you do as an SDR and a BDR is going to help you build that muscle. It's going to give you confidence. It's going to give you sequences. It's going to give you strategies and tactics. It's going to give you essentially the playbook on how to go develop business. Typically, one of the hardest parts of business development is just getting people to agree to meet with you. It's the first step, right? Reaching out to a stranger and getting them to agree to take time out of their day and spend it on you, and you articulating to them why you think you can help them with the challenges or the problems that you think they have, right? So if you do skip the SDR, BDR role, that's fine, but just know that now you have to go do business development more than likely without that knowledge, without that experience. And it's doable. People do it all the time. I jumped into an AE role right out of the Navy, so it is doable. I will say this, I struggled in my first role in tech sales, jumping right into a territory where there were 0 customers and your boss says, go build a business, and essentially turning into an SDR or BDR because all I was doing was reaching out to strangers and trying to get them to meet with us. And I was able to learn it and figure it out. It took a while, and it was a great lesson in understanding the sales process, but also understanding the value of the skills that we develop here as sales professionals. So being able to take a stranger and get them to agree to meet with you, it's a valuable skill. So the AE role, a little bit higher pay, more responsibility. SDR, BDR role, lower pay, but less responsibility. The AE role is gonna be typically more challenging. The SDR, BDR role is typically gonna be less challenging. The skills you'll develop here are foundational to the skills that you're going to develop here in the AE role. It's really up to you. I think also you should know that SDR roles are typically, more of them are in-person roles. There are remote SDR roles, and we do a pretty good job of finding those on a consistent basis, but those are going to be more often, I'd say just over 50% of the time, so maybe 60% of the time they'll be in-person roles. The AE roles are more often remote, okay? Now, the AE roles are also harder to get, so it's gonna take a little longer, and the SDR and BDR roles are a little easier to get, so it might not take as long. So that's why I want you to factor in when you need a job by, how much you need to make, and also referencing your strategic career plan, and also, are you geolocation limited? Do you have to live in a certain city or area here in the future? So, for example, if you need a job fast and you can afford to live off of, 60 or 70K a year, at least for a little while, but you also know that you want to go after AE roles as much as possible, what I would typically recommend to someone like that is you should do both. You should go after AE roles over here, and you should go after SDR and BDR roles over here. And you should make sure that you're pursuing both roles with intentionality. And let the offers come in. Go out, do your work, pursue the job hunt process effectively. And once offers start coming in, then it's time for you to make some decisions, okay? But I would pursue both in that situation. If you have all the time in the world, time's not an issue, and you want to go after AE roles, then don't go after any SDR, BDR roles. Just pursue AE roles. It might take a little bit longer, but time's not a factor. And you can take that time also to practice and prepare well and do everything you need to do to present yourself well in the AE job hunt process. So it's really different for everyone. I think going the SDR, BDR route first, if you can afford it, money-wise, it's not gonna crush you or your family if you have a family. It's a great experience. And most people are typically in that role anywhere from 9 to 12, maybe 15 months. My recommendation is that you do your very best, you crush the role, and then at maybe the 9 or 12 month mark, you bring your head up, you start looking around, and you start assessing if it's time to move up to the next role, maybe an AE role, or to just stay where you're at. But typically around the 9 to 12 month mark is a good point in your first role, if it's an SDR, BDR role, to kind of look around and see what's best for you next. I hope this was helpful. Reach out if you guys have any questions.